Join us as we paint a happy little penguin with watercolors. Good morning, friends. We're going to work on a happy little penguin this morning. He's super cute, super goofy, and not hard at all to work on. Okay guys, I've got him lightly sketched in pencil onto my mixed media pad, and I'm going to ink him in with a Sharpie. I'm using a pretty heavy Sharpie, but you could for sure use a finer one. He's got two little arms, or I don't know if you call them wings or flippers on a penguin. Does anybody out there in the world know? He's got a great big chubby tummy. We love that about him. He has a scarf, and the important thing about your scarf is to put in the drop down portion first, and then you can add in the part that wraps around the neck. He has a chubby face. I love that about him. A nice diamond-shaped beak. Now his eyes, this is important about the eyes. Make sure they're different. Make sure one eye is bigger than the other and they're a little bit angled. And he has eyebrows. Two little dots in the middle make his irises. He's wearing a nice Santa style toque, but if you prefer to make his toque a different style, that's okay. I'm putting in some little curvy lines to just make you think this hat is a little bit fluffy. You know, the typical red Santa's hat. That's what we're going for. A fluffy pom-pom. His body's going to be a dark gray, but his face and tummy are actually going to be a light creamy color. So I'm drawing the difference in his tummy and flippers. Are they flippers? Are they wings? I think they're flippers. I don't know what they are. He has two buttons on his tummy to make him look like he's wearing a coat. Three little toes on each of his feet. And I'll put some stripes in his scarf, but I want to make sure that they are not exactly all in the same line. So I'm staggering them. In other words, and some hanging down stringy bits of wool, tassel-y bits. And that's our penguin. He's super easy and super cute. And we're going to give him, that's it. That's it. That's all. Maybe we'll put some snow underneath him. Okay. Now the next thing is to erase all the pencil lines. If you drew him gently in pencil and then inked him in afterwards, erase all your pencil lines before we start painting. All right, let's start with some Naples yellow. Naples yellow is a creamy color that I like to use for things that are a little bit off white. So I'm getting my Naples yellow activated with a flat-headed brush, and I'm putting that across the bottom. Doesn't have to be too dark. I'm going right over his feet. His feet will be orange watercolor paint, and that it will go right over the Naples yellow without any trouble. Next, I will do his body, tummy, and his face and his tummy with the Naples yellow. I'm taking a little bit different brush, a little bit more of a pointy, fat brush, and so I'm still activating the Naples yellow. I don't know if you see that really well. And I'm going right over his tummy, right over his buttons. I'm not worried about them. This is not too hard to paint. Oopsie. Okay, so let me just say, I have this on an angle so that the camera can film it. And so it makes my paint want to drip. But honestly, it's better if you work with your work, if you paint with your work laying flat. Flat is better. I'll just go right over his scarf. It doesn't matter. I'm doing his face. It doesn't matter if I go over his beak. It doesn't matter if I go over his eyes. Just getting all that paint on there. I'm going to let it dry before I go on to something else on the body. His hat also has Naples yellow in the fur and in the pom-pom. Okay, little Mr. Penguin, time to let yourself dry. Laid the work a little flatter so the paint doesn't run so much. And now I am thinking about his hat. His hat will be a nice, rich, warm red. I'm painting wet into dry and just getting a layer of red into his hat, and you can go over it a second time if you feel like you're not getting it a deep enough color. You can do him with markers if you don't have paint. That's all right. We're doing this just for fun, so we're not letting ourselves get too stressed out about any one thing that's going on here. Okay, he's got a pretty red hat, and now he wants to have some nice orange feet. So I'm getting into a pumpkin-y orange color. If you don't have orange, try mixing yellow with a tiny bit of red, and you might get the color you need. So there we go. His feet are in. I had to lay him a little flatter so that the paint wouldn't run down. You know, gravity pulls it down towards the floor. Okay, he's got two nice little orange feet. I'm using a dark gray for his body, more or less a Payne's type gray, but you can make gray with black and a bit of white, or a watery black would be pretty good. I think I have too small of a brush right now. Painting around his tummy. And you know, if you go over your lines and feel like you've made a mistake, don't let that upset you. You're going to just go ahead and you can remove some of the paint. If you are working on this mixed media paper, it will take a little bit of a scrub. So what I'm doing is I'm cleaning off my brush and I'm going here inside this line with a little bit of a clean brush, clean water on it, and I'm going to clean that off. See how easily that came up? Okay, so I'm going around his body with a little bit more paint on this side. I really like this gray. You can make gray by mixing blue and brown together. If you don't have gray, try a few different mixes and just put it on your test piece of paper. It's good to have a piece of paper where you test your colors. This guy is going to be the cutest once he's done. Oh my goodness. So we're getting some gray on the outside of both of his flippers and around his tummy. It's okay if it's a bit streaky. Now we're going to go around his cheeks. A little bit of gray here. And also on this one. Now his buttons are going to be black, but if you don't have black, you can continue with your gray. You could color the buttons in with your Sharpie if you don't want to do it with paint. All right, next, his scarf is green and yellow. So I'm going to put in the yellow first. I'm choosing a nice bright yellow, and I will paint the whole scarf. It's easier for me this way. Just go ahead and do the whole thing. Painting his whole scarf in a nice cheerful yellow color. And then I can go over the stripes with the green. Once the yellow's dry, it'll work out just fine. You'll see. Yellow and green play very nicely with each other. Okay. His beak is also going to be orange. So I'm coming back in with a little bit of that warm orange that I used for his feet. and I'm going to paint his beak. I want to do his eyes in a really bright yellow. You could use the same yellow you had for the scarf, or you could choose a brighter lemony yellow if you have it. And it's important that his eyes are not the same size. We want them to be a little bit different. Okay, I'm letting the scarf dry. So because I'm letting the scarf dry, I'm going to go on to painting the sky. And I'm choosing a big flat-headed brush. And I'm going to just get the paper a little bit wet around the penguin. I don't want to touch him, so I'll just go around him carefully. It's okay if there's a little bit of white space next to his body. Doesn't have to be exactly bumping, our paint doesn't have to be exactly bumping right up against the penguin's body. Okay, so to do the sky, I'm taking some pale turquoise. I love this color. Any pale blue would work fine. I'm just going to get that in. It's a really nice light color. It's a frosty day on the South Pole. Penguins live in Antarctica, but I think they still like Christmas. I like to think so anyways. So putting that in, just a really pretty pale blue. Perfect, okay. And next I'm going back to a smaller brush. I'm activating a nice deep green, and I'll add that to his scarf. Now I want to put dark green here. You'll notice how I stagger the green color. And I'm putting dark green right at the top of the scarf. Then I skip down dark green on the third section down. And dark green here on the second to the bottom. And now you'll see why I staggered the stripes so that they would be more obvious to your eye. Good. And next we skip one and come over. There we go. He's almost all done, guys. Almost all done. I love this little guy. So now is where we step back, we take a look and we think to ourselves, is there anything I'd like to add to this? And yes, I'm thinking I would like to put a little bit of green here where the squiggles are. So I'm just touching that in. It's a little bit messy. I don't mind. I'm putting a little bit of the bright yellow that's in the scarf in the middle of his beak. And a little bit around his eye. And I'm going over the middle again with the bright, bright yellow. Now, if you don't have two colors of yellow, just leave your eyes. They'll be fine. I'm just kind of smoothing that out a bit. Okay, well, now that I look at him, he looks so happy and cheerful, and I think he's done. I think it's time for us to sign our work. Just setting up the easel so you can see him a little better. Hello there. If you paint this, post it under our group on Facebook. We are the Artsy Farters and we paint just for fun.